I was topping off at 2:43 a.m. at the Waypoint Plaza off exit 214 when a kid with a ring light stepped in front of an old-timer in a faded service cap and yelled, "This is for the views," before slapping him hard enough to spin the brim. He grinned at his phone. He didn't see 20 rigs lift off their brakes and start rolling a slow circle. My dashcam already had the slap, the plate, and his "We're live" audio. 30 seconds later, the parking lot went so quiet, the ice in my cup sounded loud. Drivers, tell us in the comments below where you're watching from. The wind was out of the north and the kind that turns flags stiff. I'd set Hattie at pump 9, triangles where they belong, and said the cross street into the mic, state 50 and frontage east, because memory behaves better when it knows a camera is listening. The overlay read 02-42-58. My coffee tasted like persistence. The veteran, 60-plus, denim jacket, ball cap with faded unit stitching that only means something to people who've earned the right not to explain it, held the door for a lady carrying a case of water, then stepped aside to let a line of night shift nurses pay. He was doing what men like that do, taking up less space than they deserve. The kid made his entrance like a commercial. Hood up, ring light on a handle, 2 friends shadowing him with grins dialed to clout. His hoodie read, "Keep it savage." He started in with the patter, "Yo, chat, truck stop edition, find the fake vet." And his buddy snorted like he'd rehearsed it. The old man tried to sidestep. The kid mirrored him and pecked at the cap with 2 fingers. "Where'd you buy that, Grandpa?" he asked the phone, and there was laughter through the speaker that didn't belong to anyone in the lot. The vet kept walking. The kid cut him off, said, "For TikTok," and slapped him across the cheek. Everything in me went quiet for 1 beat, and then very, very busy. 43/16, assault on an elderly at Pump Canopy. Ring light, grey Civic, plate RDN 4382, I said into the cab mic. 3 males, 1 hoodie, 1 beanie, 1 glasses. Victim stable, standing. My hand found the phone and hit 911 without looking away. Waypoint Plaza, exit 214. Assault in progress, suspect filming it. I'm in a black International, pump 9, hazards on. I'll keep my seat and keep recording. Inside the store, every head turned. A cashier froze halfway through a scan. The kid tilted the phone for his angle and announced to his audience, "He's faking," which is what children say when courage won't come when called. He nudged the vet's shoulder with 2 fingers, like he was inspecting fruit again. "Tell 'em what unit, boomer." I set my air horn to a short, mean burst. 5 rigs answered without being asked. Drivers began to appear, Birdie from the grain outfit 2 lanes over, Hawkins in a beanie that has seen more winters than most influencers, D who runs nights and does not negotiate with nonsense. They didn't run. They walked with purpose. We're old. We're heavy. We arrive like weather. "Sir, step behind my bumper," I called to the vet through my open window. He looked at me, then at the ring light, then did what survivors do, moved toward the safest wall. I set Hattie at a diagonal so the trailer made a shadow you could stand in without getting bumped by someone else's pride. Birdie put her Pete nose to nose with my bumper. D idled crosswise behind the Civic. The kid didn't register the geometry yet. Clout fogs peripheral vision. "Bro!" He laughed at his screen. "Truckers are mad!" and pantomimed a boxing stance. The beanie friend kept filming. The one with glasses went pale, like he could already feel his future doing math. The dispatcher stayed on the line. "Officers en route. Do not engage," she said. "Describe the suspect again." I did. Height, hoodie logo, shoes, the ring light brand, the Civic's dent on the rear quarter, the RDN 4382 plate again, the friend with glasses in a thrift store varsity jacket. "Victim?" she asked. "Male, 60s, denim, unit cap, cheek red, steady on feet," I said. "He's in my shadow." The kid finally noticed the circle. Birdie stepped between him and the vet with a stance that said she could outstare a blizzard. "You done?" she asked, neutral. He put the ring light in her face without filming her eyes. "Rookie mistake." "Don't touch me," he announced, too loud, preemptively auditioning for a court video. "This is public, I can be here." You can, Hawkins said from the other side, hands empty and visible, and you can keep your hands to yourself. He canted his head toward my windshield. You're live on something more boring than your app. The kid reflexively looked at my dashcam, then at the suction-cupped cab mic, then at the second camera in my right mirror, a habit I picked up after a tow yard tried to teach me about storage fees. He sneered anyway. I'll sue, he told nobody in particular. The old man behind my bumper touched his cheek and kept his mouth shut. When he finally spoke, he said very softly, You don't have to perform to matter, to no one and everyone. He had that way of standing, I recognize, like a tent pole, thin, tired, still doing the job. Inside the store, the manager shut off the music and hit the security record button like it was a fire alarm. 2 nurses came outside with fists on hips that meant business. A tow driver in coveralls moved his wrecker to plug the only open exit. If you've never seen a parking lot decide something together, it's a kind of choir. The kid upped the volume. You're all scared of the internet, he announced to his phone. I run this lot. He flicked a finger against the veteran's cap and started to reach for it. I dropped the window 3 inches. Don't touch his hat, I said, not loud, very clear. He looked at me as if I'd broken the narrator's illusion. Stay in your truck, Grandpa, he said. He moved his hand toward the cap again. 3 more trucks rolled and stopped without touching anyone. The lot went smaller by 10 yards. Red and blue washed the canopy in the time it takes bad ideas to look for a new host. A city cruiser, then a county unit behind it. The first officer out, young, eyes already heavy with a different kind of experience, took one look at the ring light, then at the veteran, and split the scene with his voice. Hands where I can see them. You, hoodie, back up. Sir, behind the bumper. Stay put. Who called? Me, I said. I raised my phone, kept both hands visible on the sill, and gave him everything, plate, time, description, what the mic had already heard. Camera rolling with audio. I'll email the link. The kid tried to get in front of the narrative. He shoved me, he told the officer, jerking a thumb at the veteran. It's on video. He held up his phone as if the ring light were a warrant. The officer didn't take it. Great, he said. Keep it up. Don't touch a thing. We'll collect it. He turned to the old man. Sir, you hurt? The vet shook his head once. Pride's sore, he said. The officer nodded, made a small mark on a small pad, and addressed the hoodie again. Did you strike him? He asked. It was a prank, the kid said. Bro, tell him, prank. He looked to his friends for cover. The beanie guy lowered his phone a few inches. The one with glasses stared at the ground like he'd dropped a truth and didn't know how to pick it back up. Pranks have consent, the officer said, bored like only professionals can be. Assault doesn't, he asked again, slower. Did you hit him? The kid flexed his jaw and opened his mouth to go for round 2. Birdie didn't say a word. She just lifted her own phone and tapped play. The officer watched 5 seconds. This is for the views. The slap. His own radio catching the sound from my dash at the same instant, and he didn't need to watch the rest. He reached out his hand. Phone, he said. Passcode. If you refuse, we'll get a warrant. Your call. You can't just... The kid started. The county deputy had my plate info by then. Son, you just broadcast a misdemeanor to 100 strangers, he said, holding up my emailed link that had already hit his inbox. You raised your hand at a 70-year-old. In this state, that's a charge with teeth. He gestured to the wrecker blocking the exit. You're not going anywhere. The kid looked around for an audience that wanted to clap for him. Nobody did. Even his buddy with the beanie put his phone down like it had grown heavy. The one with glasses finally spoke, voice small. Man, just give it up, he said. He told you not to. Another cruiser slid in, a supervisor. She took statements the way good people change a tire. Quick, clean, no extra commentary. She asked the veteran for his name, and he answered with just a first. She didn't push. She asked me to read the time and cross street into her body cam, and I did. So 243, State 50 and frontage east. And that's when the kid tried a different play. He half-turned like he'd finally realized the circle and said, Okay, I'm sorry, with the flattening tone of a man reciting a caption he hopes will get him to the next screen. He raised his hands at the phone and did his earnest face. I didn't mean it. We were just... The supervisor held up a palm. Save it, she said. Apologies go to the person you hit, not to your followers. She looked past him at me. You got the plate? She asked. RDN 4382, grey Civic, rear quarter dent, bumper sticker Savage mode, I said. Ring light brand Ulanzi, hoodie had a rip at the cuff. She smiled like a nurse, hearing a vital sign she likes. Good, she said. Emails on the card. The old man's cheek had gone from red to a single clean line, where a ring had caught skin. The nurse in scrubs dabbed it with something that smelled like mint and clean bathrooms. You dizzy? She asked. He shook his head. I've had worse from a hatch, he said. She nodded like she understood what that meant and didn't ask him to explain. The kid finally handed over his phone. The beanie friend did too without prompting. The one with glasses swallowed and said, I'll send you mine, to the supervisor. And when she looked at him, he added, I'm tired. Sometimes the smallest confessions do the most work. The officer glanced at me. We'll need your full statement, he said. Think you can stick around? I glanced at my clock and then at the old man, then at the Civic pinned by Dee's trailer. I'll make time, I said. Fuel's paid. I can sit. He gave me the line that always lands right. Thank you for staying. Then he looked at the hoodie and surprised him with courtesy. Sir, you're detained. Sit on the curb. Hands visible. You can call a parent after we clear the scene. The kid sat. His friends sat. The ring light lay on the concrete like a tiny moon with no tide left in it. The supervisor walked to my bumper and crouched to the veteran's height. Do you want to press charges? She asked. He looked down at his hands, and then at the kid, and then at the lot full of people who had chosen to arrive. I want him to learn, he said finally. Whatever path gets there and keeps other folks from trying this on someone smaller. She nodded. There's a class that comes with a plea, she said. There's also a statute with mandatory minimums. We'll tell the DA what you said. He nodded. Do that, he said, and add one line. Don't mess with people who didn't ask to be in your movie. The officer looked back at me. You got his line? She asked. All of it, I said, and patted the dash where the little red light kept blinking like it always does. Sirens faded. The lot exhaled. Birdie bumped my door with her knuckles. Coffee? She asked. I'll cover if you email me the good angle. Hawkins laughed into his beanie and shook his head. Kids, he said, which covers more sins than theology. Dee rolled his shoulders and checked his straps like a man who knows work is the only cure that always fits. I watched the supervisor write case number on a card and hand it to the veteran. He tucked it into his wallet next to a photo that looked older than most of the rigs here. He gave me a nod, not the thanks kind, the we're good kind. It lands better. We were halfway to normal when the kid's phone, now in an evidence bag, pinged with comments from his live. The officer looked at the screen, at him, then at me. He tagged the location, she said. More might be headed this way. The supervisor didn't wait for the second show to start. She pointed to the tow driver. Hold that exit, she said. To Birdie and Dee, stay where you are, don't move unless I wave. Your rigs are part of my perimeter now. To the store manager, lock the outer doors, keep folks inside unless they're with us. Then to me, keep rolling and keep talking. I read the time and cross street again, 0247, State 50 and frontage east, and added the note she asked for. Possible additional vehicles inbound from tagged post. 2 cars swung in hot, high beams, scraping the canopy. The first one saw a wall of chrome and uniforms and thought better of it. Brake lights, U-turn, gone. The second crept in like it expected a backstage pass. A rookie officer walked up and did a polite version of a move-along. Lots closed for an investigation, he said. Fuel across town stays open. They left, loud but leaving. The kid on the curb tried to salvage his brand. Chat, cops are tripping, he said, then remembered his phone was in an evidence bag and went quiet. Without the lens, he looked smaller, like stage lights had been holding him up. The supervisor finished a radio call and crouched next to the veteran again. "We'll escort you home if you want," she said. He shook his head. "I'm 3 miles west and a lifetime tired," he said. "I can make it," she nodded. "Okay. Before you go, we'll get your statement somewhere warm." She stood and addressed the lot without raising her voice. "Listen up. We're going to clear this clean. Statements, citations, tow if needed. Nobody crowds the elderly or my scene, and no one follows anyone home." She looked at the hoodie. "That includes you." I emailed the clip while she talked. My phone buzzed a second later with an auto reply. "Case 24214A. I said the number into my cab mic for the record and watched the little red light blink like it had feelings about bureaucracy. In the store, the manager set a chair by the window for the old man, and 2 nurses took his vitals with the efficiency of women who have seen worse in quieter rooms. He let them, no protest. When the officer asked for a name for the report, he gave a first, Cal. She didn't press for more. Outside, Hawkins had drifted to the curb and squatted eye level with the kid. "You ever fixed a strap in the rain on the shoulder while 4-wheelers blow by?" he asked. The kid blinked. "No." "Then maybe don't slap men who have," Hawkins said. It wasn't harsh. It was a weather report. The supervisor returned, set the terms, and took the heat out of the air. "Here's where we are," she told the hoodie. "Assault, elder enhancement considered. You can ride downtown now or—" She held up a form. "We can cut you loose to a parent with a promise to appear and a no-contact order. Your device is evidence. Either way, the video exists in 3 places. The DMV calls that learnable. Can I apologize?" he asked, each word brand new to his mouth. She didn't answer for him. She looked at Cal. "Your call." Cal took a long breath and stood with that straightness you only get after years of carrying more than your share. He came out from my shadow and faced the kid. "You don't know me," he said. "You don't need to. But you need to know this. What you do for clicks might touch somebody's war. You don't want to be that man." The kid nodded so hard his hood bounced. "I'm sorry," he said, this time to a person, not a phone. I didn't think." Cal took it like a receipt, not a gift. "Then think," he said, "and then do work that doesn't require strangers." The supervisor scribbled 1 line on her pad. "Noted," she said. "DA will hear it." She spun the scene down like a pro. D backed straight, slow and clear. Birdie peeled off with 2 quick horn taps that sounded like a benediction. The tow driver reopened the exit. The store manager unlocked the doors. I eased Hattie out of her diagonal and set her square again. The lot became a lot, half a step at a time. The kid's ride arrived, a tired Corolla, a more tired mom. The posture of somebody who just got pulled into a story at 3 a.m. The supervisor did the script. Charges explained, court date circled, no contact terms, device seized pending warrant. The mom said almost nothing until the end. Then she looked at Cal and said, "Sir, I'm sorry." And at me, "Thank you for staying." She put a hand on the hood of the Civic like she was grounding lightning and drove away without drama. Cal signed the last page and stood to go. I stepped out and offered a ride home if he wanted to leave his car for daylight. He smiled with half his mouth. "I've been walking myself home a long time," he said, "but I could use coffee. You got it black?" I handed him a fresh cup and he saluted with it. "You truckers," he said, amused, "always feeding people." 2 weeks passed like miles. I got an email from the ADA. Plea offered. Assault, misdemeanor, conditions, apology in person, 80 hours community service at the state veterans home, social media account suspended during probation, mandatory class on harassment and consent, victim's preference noted. There was also a line about restitution for medical follow-up, Cal declined, and a request for full Dashcam file with audio. I sent it along with the clip from the store camera the manager had shared with the case number written on the box in Sharpie. Birdie texted a screenshot. The kid had posted a grey square with 5 words, "I was wrong, I'm learning." Comments were off. Good. A month later, the supervisor called. "We're doing the apology at the Veterans Home Rec Room," she said. "You're welcome to sit in if you want. The victim asked for you. I had a delivery 2 towns over. I made room." The rec room smelled like coffee and laundry done right. Cal sat at a table with a checkerboard burnished smooth by decades of stubborn men. A dozen residents and 3 staff watched from armchairs like a jury that prefers plain speech. The kid came in with his mom and a probation officer who looked like a former linebacker. No ring light, no hoodie, a cheap button-down that fit like new habits. He sat. He tried. He stumbled once, then skipped the part where he's the victim of his own youth and said the only sentence that matters, "I hit you. It was wrong. I'm here to own it and to make it right as long as you get to decide what right is." Cal tapped a red checker like he was thinking about a move. "You'll work the bingo night," he said. "You'll clean the grill after the cookout without being asked. You'll drive Mr. Dupree to PT and wait in the hallway without sighing. And you'll write down 5 things you learned from 5 people who have nothing to prove to you." He glanced at the probation officer. "Count the writing toward ours." The officer nodded. "Works for me," he said. "We can also schedule him for the high school's anti-harassment panel." Cal waved a hand. "That's for the cameras. Let him fill coffee cups." The kid looked relieved. Mom looked like she might finally sleep. The room, which had been braced for speeches, unbraced. Somebody turned on a game. A nurse brought cookies like ceasefire terms. Afterward, in the parking lot, the kid stopped by Hattie. He pointed at the little red light. "You had me the whole time," he said. "Yeah," I said. "It wasn't to get you. It was to remember what actually happened." He nodded. "I think I need one of those for my mouth," he said, half smiling. "We all do," I said. "It's called thinking." He did his hours. I know because the Veterans Home posted a photo a month later. The grill shining, Mr. Dupree smiling, the kid in an apron he hadn't earned and didn't pretend to. Comments on that page stay open. They're kind. The court sent a short note. Probation terms satisfied to date, no new violations, community service verified, diversion possible if he finishes without incident. I filed it with the case number and the tow receipt from that night into the slot under my radio where my day keeps receipts that matter. I ran into Cal again at Waypoint on a Sunday afternoon when the sun made every hood look like a postcard. He was at a table with a newspaper underlining something like it might escape if he didn't pen it down. I brought 2 coffees. He took one, looked at me, and grinned. "That boy cleaned a grill like he was apologizing to it," he said. "He'll be fine if somebody keeps handing him wrenches." "Good," I said. "Lot learned something too." He raised an eyebrow. I pointed at the canopy. The manager had installed a small sign over the entrance. "No soliciting. No filming of customers. Respect is policy." Underneath, in smaller letters, "If you need help, ask. If you need a wall, we'll make one." Birdie had given the wording. The manager had made it a plaque. Rules don't fix everything. They fix more than nothing. The supervisor walked in while we were talking off-duty, hair down, buying a soda like a civilian. She saw us and smiled. "Hey, witnesses," she said. "Good block that night." She pointed at my knee. "And good restraint." "Both are learned," I said. She tipped her bottle toward the door. "Keep the camera on," she said. "We'll keep writing the boring paperwork that makes real life fit." Then she was gone. People who do the job don't linger in their own credits. I finished my coffee and climbed back into Hattie. The little red light blinked. MM214 rolled under my tires. I said it out loud, not because I needed it for court, but because saying mile markers makes me honest about where I am. 2 exits later, my phone chimed. A message from the kid, short. "Finished my hours today. Cal said I can keep coming anyway. Thank you for staying." I typed back, "Keep showing up when there's no camera. That's the trick." A thumbs up appeared, then nothing else. Good. If you rode with me through this one, tell us in the comments below where you're watching from, city, state, or the mile marker that raised you. And if you want more runs where receipts beat rumors, truckers make walls, and people learn in public without getting ruined by it, subscribe so the next story finds you. Next time, I'll tell you about a tow yard storage fee that vanished the moment a cab cam, a clipboard, and a city ordinance met in the same office.